Welcome everyone to Social Work 639. This course is designed to build upon Social Work 630, which you just completed last week. We are really continuing on with learning about different theoretical frameworks for individual treatment and taking a little bit more of a deeper look into use of self and who you are as a clinician. So I just wanted to take the time to go through the syllabus. You can read this course description here, as well as review the competencies. If you could review these on your own time, I won't go through them word for word. In terms of our course objectives, we want to, like I said, we want to look at you as a clinician and who you are as a therapist. We are all going to form slightly different approaches to treatment. There are going to be certain theoretical frameworks that seem to fit best with you as a clinician. Of course, we always want to gear our approaches towards our clients, but there are times that we might not be a fit for a particular client or for a particular issue. So we want to really understand ourselves too, so we can understand who we're going to work best with, and, even getting a better idea of even some niches that you might want to work with and what works best based on your own professional and personal values. So, and then we're going to integrate knowledge of research and learn more about some evidence-based treatment practices. And again, just building on that self-awareness that you have as a social worker. The required text is the same as the text that we had used for Social Work 630, so hopefully everybody already has this textbook. Please keep in mind that this is a course that has a pretty significant time requirement. We are looking at a 19 to 20 hour time requirement per week. This includes completion of all of the required readings, the videos, participation in forums, and all of the writing assignments. Here we have just the general policies that are consistent with the policies for many of the courses that you have had throughout your education at Widener. You are expected to attend and participate in class on a weekly basis. Any missing posts or late assignments will affect your grade. I just ask that you reach out to me ahead of time if you believe you might be late with any of your assignments. I do expect participation on a weekly basis though, so if you find that you are going to be very late with multiple assignments for multiple weeks, please reach out to me, just let me know what's going on, and we can either come up with a plan or discuss whether or not it makes sense for you to continue with the course, because it is a pretty heavy course and we are looking at 7 weeks. So if you fall more than 1 week behind, that is going to be pretty significant and maybe too significant for your learning for the remainder of the course. Here you can see the revision policy. Any papers that fall with the grade of B- or lower can be revised and resubmitted. But for the final grade, the revision of the paper can't exceed the grade level of B. So there are certainly circumstances where this might occur. Just if I do assign you a grade of a B- or lower, I will make sure to message you and describe that process to you. In terms of my availability, I prefer Canvas message. That is just an easier way for me to get notified that you have messaged me. I like to have messages just in one place. You can email me as well. My email is listed there, but I check Canvas more regularly than I check my Widener email. So just keep that in mind. I will always respond to any questions within 24 or 48 hours. In terms of papers, I try to check my messages at least daily. So usually closer to paper submission time, I'll be checking it maybe multiple times a day. So feel free to reach out to me. If you do need any learning accommodations, please contact Academic Support Services. I'm happy to follow any accommodations that you might need. Just have to reach out to Academic Support Services first in order for me to know what those accommodations need to be. You'll see here the breakdown of how you will be graded. Class participation is significant. So again, participating in those weekly discussions, that will be 40% of your grade. And then there will be 3 writing assignments this semester. You will have your personal narrative reflection, that's worth 10%, integrative paper part 1, 25%, and integrative paper part 2, which is 25%. You can see here some, just some tips in terms of writing skills, APA style. Please make sure to review the guidelines for APA format. You can find some of those guidelines in the student resource section on Canvas or within your APA style text. You will see that there are some designated assignments for many of the courses. The designated assignment for this course is the integrative paper part 2, so that is your last paper of this course. That's just something that, just keep in mind that you're going to need to save that paper to make sure that you can submit it in your last semester of your education. So again, going over the discussions, usually each post is going to require an initial post and a response post to a classmate that doesn't have any other responses. Just try to be insightful in your posts and responses. Usually for responses, try to highlight something that maybe you learned from your classmate and something that might further their learning, depending on what that discussion is on. Please also make sure that you have your discussion posts in APA format in terms of in-text citations and references as well when relevant. I just wanted to give a brief description of each rating assignment so that you have a general idea heading into the course. I will post separate videos going in depth with these assignments as they become due. First, you'll have your personal narrative reflection. As I mentioned in this course, we are trying to take a little deeper look at ourselves as clinicians and how your values impact your work with clients. So for the personal narrative, you're basically going to describe a narrative that you've developed or internalized, and how that's influenced your identity as a social worker and your goals. So think about this in terms of, it could be in terms of narrative theory or even object relations theory. So how you've internalized objects throughout your life and how that has influenced your values and who you are as a social worker. So, and then you're going to be describing how you developed that. So who are some people who have been influential? What are some experiences that you've had throughout your life that you think have influenced that narrative? And then you're going to discuss how the narrative is constructive and or challenging to how you function as a social worker, and use some critical thinking here. I know, sometimes we can more easily identify the ways that it could be constructive, which is great, but we also want to be identifying how it might pose a challenge over time, like in terms of countertransference or value conflicts and things of that nature. Just because our awareness of those things is what's going to help us from reducing any harm that it might do to our clients. And then you have your integrative paper part 1. So that's going to be due week 4. The purpose of the assignment is to describe and discuss your approaches to clinical social work. So examples that you might use are theories that we've learned within this course. You're going to be using one or at most two of these theories. So cognitive, behavioral, narrative, emotion focused, just thought, ego psychology, self-psychology, or object relations. These are all theories that were learned throughout Social Work 630 and this current course, Social Work 639. You can include some trauma-informed perspectives in conjunction with the models there, and to get a little bit more in depth with those theories. Keep in mind, here's the note, other models from your foundation practice are not acceptable for the assignment. We want to, of course, focus on the things that you're learning within this course. So you're going to provide an overview of the theory, you're going to provide some strengths and limitations of that theory, and also some cross-cultural considerations. So what modifications might you make with that theoretical framework if you were working with people, for instance, of different genders or ethnicities, with different religious beliefs, sexual orientation, etc. And then we are going to move on to integrative paper part 2. So for part 2 of this paper, you are going to be relating those theories to work with a general population. So with a specific population, I should say. So you're going to identify a client population that you may think that you would like to work with in the future. So this could be a particular diagnosis. It could be trauma, it could be attachment, it could be a certain experience that population might face. So if you want clarity on this, I will go over it a little bit more in depth when I post the video describing the assignment in detail, but you can always reach out to me so we can kind of clarify the population. So, and then you're going to be describing more in terms of the intervention process with your chosen theory, and getting a little bit more specific in terms of what the interventions might look like with that particular population. And then, of course, paying attention to yourself in treatment and how transference and countertransference might play out within treatment with that population, and evaluating the efficacy of the evaluation, looking at, is this an evidence-based approach? What are some of the studies that have shown its effectiveness? If studies haven't been done, tell us the basis that you have for your confidence in that intervention. And then you're going to be looking at social policy and context considerations. So what are some potential barriers that you might see in carrying out this approach within agency policy, for instance, or maybe on a larger scale, some more social policies that might be in place that might pose as a barrier to your work with that client. And then lastly, you're going to think about future work as a clinical social worker. How would you like to develop further as a social worker, and what areas would you like to develop within your personal self as well? So what are some things that you might do personally and professionally to build yourself as a clinical social worker? Please make sure to pay attention to the rubrics for each assignment, as that is what I use very distinctly to grade these assignments. And then moving down, you will see our course schedule. If you look in the modules section on Canvas, you can see this a little bit more explicitly in terms of the learning resources and assignments. But it is a 7-week course, and again, it can be very time consuming, so please make sure to review the syllabus ahead of time, pace yourself, kind of plan ahead to know what time you can set aside to complete, especially those larger assignments. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, especially if you have any questions about the syllabus. I will be posting a video each week related to learning assignments, and for each assignment, I will post a separate video as well. All right, well, I am excited to join you for this course, and I hope everyone has a good day.